Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. I've got to start off with a little shout out and some credit where credit is due. Picked up this medium-sized tactile turn bolt action pen from Thunderbird Gear, and when I was doing that, I was talking to Steve and decided that, or actually we discussed him sending a couple things along that I would be interested in reviewing. Now, um, this is not a review of this pen, but I just thought I'd throw this out there as a uh, slight addition to my EDC and to give some credit to Steve over at Thunderbird Gear. One of the knives that I've wanted to check out for a while is the Carter XL from James Brand. These are really, really compelling in the design, and I just hadn't been able to handle one, and so I was really, really wanting to do that. So a huge thanks to Thunderbird Gear for allowing me to do that. Let me say, as we're opening this up, you've got this little bag that the knife can fit in after for storage. The packaging itself is actually pretty classy. So we've got, I'm just going to let that fall out. We've actually got this piece of plywood, and if you know what the price of wood is doing these days, this is probably the most expensive piece in the whole knife. You could probably sell the plywood on the aftermarket and recoup the cost of the knife. Anyway, packaging is really, really nice and classy. It does come with this little insert that can serve to replace the pocket clip. If you want to do a lanyard instead of a pocket clip, that provides you the option to do that. Hard to imagine why you would. Nonetheless, they include it in there. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. We'll talk about that a little bit at the end when we get to price point. Let me get the packaging out of the way and give you a look at this knife. It is actually a really nice looking knife. And as I say, this is a knife that I've liked the design of for a long time. Now, the original Carter, I like this design just in general. Okay, but when this first came out, it was definitely too small for me. Now, since that time, of course, they've done this XL version, which is still not a huge knife. It's still under 8 inches, so it's just bigger than the original, which was enough to make me go, yeah, I'd really like to check this out. Honestly, the small one is just too small for me to even care about, but this one is pretty cool. And so I'm really, really glad Steve was willing to send this along. So I recommend, as a big thank you to him, go over there, spend a little time on the website, see if he's got anything cool for you. And also go check the description box. All of the channel sponsors are a huge, huge help. And so any patronage that you can give to anyone who supports the channel is very, very encouraged and welcomed. So quick rundown in terms of size on this. This guy is 7 7/8 inches overall, 3 5/16 on the blade length. It's 4.5 inches when closed. All right. The grip area is a pretty generous 3 3/4 inches, which for me with larger hands works really, really well. All right. And the weight on this is 3.6 ounces, which is not bad at all. So yeah, carries pretty light, pretty easy on the pocket there when you've got this thing going around with you. Let's give a quick rundown of sort of the rest of the features. We've covered size and weight. We have these G10 scales here, which are nicely contoured. Whoops, I ran into the tripod. Sorry, guys. These nicely contoured G10 scales, which are really, really impressive. The G10 here is very nice, feels really good in hand. All of the angles are nicely finished, and there's no sharp or uncomfortable spots on the knife itself. The clip is nicely done as well. Oh, I should say this is nested. They're nested stainless steel liners in here. Hold on, see if I got a light that I can use to show you. So you can probably, there you go. You can kind of catch a glimpse of the liners, and they are milled to save weight there. Okay, so nicely done handle here. The blade up front is a high flat grind drop point DLC coated blade, nice and thin behind the edge, done in VG10 steel. Then we've got a bright pop of color here with the thumb disc as the deployment method. All right, it is a crossbar style lock, and the action is okay, but it's not great, and there's a reason for that. These come with grease in the pivot. That's pretty common, anytime, a lot of knives come with grease in the pivot. because it doesn't go away, and it can sit on a store shelf for a long time and not have any issues. If this were mine, I would be taking it apart, cleaning that out, and replacing it with nano oil, which I have every confidence would make a vast change to the action on this knife. I thought, I'm not going to make the changes myself, so I did go and kind of look around to see if there were some other YouTubers who had this and done that, and there were a few, and the action did improve substantially. Moving down, thinking of features here, I want to take a look at this clip. This nice deep carry clip, really well thought out, and it is reversible. So you see this on Lion Steels quite a bit. You can take out these two screws, pull this clip out, and there's a spacer and the clip, and just essentially flip them the other way. And so this is truly an ambidextrous knife. It's literally this exact same on both sides, which is really nice. A welcome offering for all of you lefties out there, and I know that doesn't happen often. You guys are often kind of left out in the cold. The action is on phosphor bronze washers, and again, I mentioned that it's grease, so yeah, that's the grease combined with phosphor bronze makes it not super snappy, but that would easily be remedied. Now, we do want to talk a little bit about the blade steel. The grind is great, the blade shape is great, it's nice and thin behind the edge. The steel choice is VG10, which is absolutely fine. I'm not complaining in the least about VG10 in terms of performance. It's very stainless, holds an edge reasonably well. But frankly, at this price point, I am expecting essentially a super steel. Like, I want to see something impressive here, and VG10 is just not that. Okay, so I do have to deduct a few points for VG10 at the $200 price point. That is not ideal. And I want to talk about the price point here for a little bit, because we have to keep in mind that James Brand they design knives, or they design gear, I guess, right? They are not making these things in-house, which means there's a back and forth. And I've known some people who've gone through this, who have their own knife design and who've wanted to get it built. And so you reach out to a bunch of OEMs and you talk about what it's going to cost to make this particular knife. And of course, the number you're ordering makes a difference. But then the materials make a difference. And so, you're trying to hit a particular price point. In this case, I guess they wanted them to sell for less than $200. And they, I'm sure when they issued the design, they're like, yeah, let's do it in M390. Let's do it in 20 CV. Let's do it in S45 VN or S35 VN or whatever, right? And the company said, okay, yeah, we can do that. And this will be your base cost, right? Your per unit cost. And they go, yeah, that's too much. There's not enough profit there. We've got to make some changes. So they make changes to the materials appropriately until they can kind of come to this balance of price versus cost. Okay, so that's kind of how that is happening. And again, VG10 steel is fine. And so if we just say this, if we just look at it from this perspective, do I think this is a good knife? If someone, gave me this knife and said, hey, Kevin, check out this knife, what do you think of it? I'd go, hey, nice knife, really capable. I like VG10 steel. I love the handles. It's comfortable. It looks cool. It's, the lock is effective. The reversible clip is great. The grind is nice. The edge geometry is nice. So yeah, this is a nice knife. All right. Where it runs into a bit of a hiccup is that price point. So if I'm having now paid for the knife, there are a few other things that I'm probably going to look at. So here is the Kizer Escort, and it is going to be like $170. Here is, of course, the Benchmade Super Freak, which is going to be around $200, maybe a little bit over these days. I'm not 100% sure anymore. What else have we got? Well, actually, some of you will know I've recently added the Cold Steel Code 4, which blows everything here out of the water in terms of price and performance. This is like value out the wazoo. Like, it's just phenomenal from that regard. What else have I got? That's I got another Benchmade over here. So we've got the crossbar lock kind of going consistently here. This is the Crooked River. We know it's going to be a little more. I think these are around 240 these days in the U.S. market. So that is one of the things that I have to consider here, that there are some pretty compelling offerings at the $200 price point. And, especially from the overseas makers, like this Kaiser is an absolutely amazing knife, one of the most perfect EDC knives I have ever handled. And it's like $20 less or something like that. So really, really compelling knife. Anyway, I wanted to throw those comparisons in there because it does present a bit of a wrench in the works. However, um, you know, the fact is, this is a really, really nice design. The size is really good. It's very comfortable in hand. The weight is excellent. And so could I see someone being willing to pay a little extra because they love this design? Without a doubt. Okay, there you could absolutely make the case for this knife and go, yo, VG10 is good enough. Like, why are you complaining about VG10? And really, the only complaint is in terms of value. Okay, this knife, this is the Stretch XL. Um, it's also in VG10 steel, but the difference is this is like $80, right? Now I know the other materials are not as comparable. Okay, I'm well aware of that, but I just want to throw it out there that that's kind of where I'm used to seeing VG10 or 154 CM or those AUS 10, those type of steels. All right, so very quickly wanted to just get this out there. I have to say that I'm really, really glad Steve was willing to send this over to me because this is a really, really nice knife. It feels great in hand. It's lightweight. It carries really, really comfortably in pocket because despite the fact that it's contoured G10, which makes it really comfortable, it's not super thick. Like there's a lot of good here. And so the one complaint is the price point. The value equation is a little bit off as far as I'm concerned. But again, that said, I know that there'll be lots of people that are perfectly willing to pay that price because this is such a cool looking knife. So there you go, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below if this is compelling enough for you to pay that extra, or if you go, yeah, the steel really does kind of throw me off on this knife. Thanks a lot again for watching. Don't forget to check those channel sponsors. It's a huge help. Thanks again to Steve over at Thunderbird Gear. Look for that link in the description box as well. We'll talk to you soon.